Hello everyone, Navy Vet 76 in the gun room again today, and I wanted to talk about reloading for my Dutch Beaumont. I've been working with this occasionally, not very often, and the last time out I had very disappointing results with this gun. And so I did some changing up. I changed the powder to IMR 4198 at 29 grains, but I also did some research online. I asked some questions in one of my Facebook groups. And Norm Sutton, which is a guy that's pretty popular in a lot of the gun forums, got back to me with a comment. One of the things I did was I took this cartridge, which is the Dutch Beaumont cartridge, and my parent case is 32 gauge brass. I also used 5090 brass. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera or not, but this is 5090 and this is 32 gauge brass. And that's my parent case. They work in the Beaumont. What I also did was I loaded a dummy round, which I keep a dummy round. It's over here in a container in my pile here in my mess. And what it is just an empty case, no primer. And I started with the bullet way out. And I just kept dropping it down and trying it, drop it down and try it until it was just off of the rifling. And how I did that was when the bolt closed, I knew I was still on the rifling because there are marks on the bullet itself. And then I put it back in the seating die and cranked it down just a little bit more so you're just off of the lands. However, one of the issues I've had with these large cases is the volume. When you're using like 4198, 3031, 4895, 5744, there's not a lot of powder in here by volume. And I don't like the way it ignites. I don't get a complete burn, and that airspace, I don't like having that airspace in the case, even though generally it doesn't hurt anything. So Norm got back to me, and this is what he does. He uses backer rod. I've never heard of this stuff. This is backer rod, and it's insulating foam. It comes in round lengths, coiled up in a bag. And this is 1/2 inch backer rod that I have. First thing I did was I put my powder in, which is 29 grains. It's my start load. The cartridges of the world suggest a max load of 31 grains of 4198. I really didn't want to start there. I could have backed off 10%, which would have been 3.1 grains, but I didn't go that far back. So I put the powder in, and then I kind of guess how long to make this. So what I did was I started out at 1.2 inches, which was my first guess, and it was a little long by 200 thousandths. So this is actually a 1 inch length of 1/2 inch backer rod. And then on top of that, I have a felt wad that I cut out of a sheet of felt. You put that, so you put your powder in, you put your powder in, then you put your backer rod in, and this goes in pretty easy. I'm not going to get it in because I'll never get it out. So you got your powder in, you put your backer rod in, and then you put your wad on top, and then you press your bullet in. And what happens is this actually takes up the volume, the airspace in the bullet. I mean, you know, that's I think is a great idea. And Norm said, when I asked him about the wad, he said it keeps anything from sticking to the base of the bullet. So it acts like a gas check, kind of. And that's a great idea. So the Beaumont, I think my Beaumont is 457. I don't remember. But these drop at 459 out of my mold, so I don't even bother to resize these. And I've got a sizing die that's actually 459. It's in my lubricizer here. So I just drop that in there, and if there's any high spots, it'll take care of that. And then I lube the bullet and press it in. And this is the Lee 405 grain hollow base bullet, which in reality with wheel weight lead, this bullet drops at 395, 396. It varies a grain or two. So it's not actually 405 grains. This is the same bullet that I use in my trapdoor, and it works great. That's a lie. It doesn't work great. I haven't got this gun to shoot well yet. It doesn't really group. So I'm going to try this time with the bullet. Here's one of my old loads, and you can see the bullet on my left is a little longer. And so hopefully with the filler and the bullet out till it's just off the lands, hopefully it'll work better this time. I only loaded 10 because I don't know what's going to happen with these. I don't think there'll be any pressure issues, but you never know. So I do want to take it out to the range. I want to shoot these 10 bullets, see what happens, see if I get any kind of group, and go from there. But I know other people have done this, at least Norm has. I've never heard of this process before with the backing rod, and I also want to try it in my 4570. It looks like a great idea. I'll see you out at the range. Hello everybody, Navy Vet 76 out at the range with my Dutch Beaumont. As you've seen in the introduction, I'm trying some new loads, and I have my chronograph set up, and I'm at 50 yards, and I'm just shooting for groups, and I have a target set up down there just for reference, an aim point. So I am using IMR 4198 at 29 grains with a 1/2 inch diameter backer rod cut to 1 inch long and a felt wad. The overall length is 2 inches 637 thousandths, and I'm using a CCI primer. I'm using a Lee 405 grain hollow base bullet. Usually these were the bullet was for the 4570, and it is at 459 thousandths diameter and lubed. The bullet actually drops at around 390 grains. I think in the introduction I said 395. So they're dropping at 390 grains, give or take a few grains in weight. You'll notice also that laying right here on the table, I got a bunch of brass. I've got some 762 by 54 and some 762 by 39 brass. This is all reloadable brass that I picked up here on the range as I was walking in. The 762 by 39, I eventually am going to attempt to reload for my SKS. I have tried, and so far without very much success, but I'm also someday in the future hope to get a bolt action rifle in the 762 by 39. The 762 by 54 is for the Mosin Nagant, but it also is a great parent case for the 8 by 50 Steyr straight pull, and I use those a lot for the 8 by 50 Steyr. They're a great parent case for not only made for the Mosin Nagant, but they work for the Steyr straight pull. So I use those for the 8 by 50. 8 by 56, they're short. They're short a little, but people have used them, and they work. But they're great for the 8 by 59. But anyway, that's a side note. I just thought I'd set those there and let you see what I found. Now, I have no idea what this bullet is going to do. I pray it doesn't blow up in my face. And I want to know what the speed is. I hope that the wad and the backing rod doesn't actually hit my chronograph. We'll find out. So first off, pray I don't blow my face off. We got 1,330 feet per second. That's pretty good. I like that. It didn't blow my face off. And these cases, these cases, which are made from 5090 and 32 gauge brass, the rims are a little small, so they don't actually extract very well, but they work. Now, my Norm son asked me about case expansion and how I use a CH4D die set for the Beaumont, and so this case was just fired. Since the parent case is a little small for the chamber, they actually bulge out a little. And I don't know if that shows or not. This is an unfired case. This is the one I just fired. You'll see a bulge at the bottom, but that actually is bulged to fit the chamber, and there's not a whole lot of difference in the size between the unfired and fired case. Yes, this is fire form case. So that bulge at the bottom, that's just telling you that the parent case is just a little bit small, but they do work because they fire form fit the chamber. So we have no actual pressure sign, which is good because you know this is a black powder cartridge rifle, and nobody wants to blow their face off, especially me. So now, and as I said before, I set the overall just off the lands, but you also, when you do that, make sure that it fits in the magazine. On some guns, that won't happen. Your bullet will be too long for the magazine, and you basically turn it into a single shot. So, okay, so we got 1330. $12.76. Okay. Little bit of residue on that one. Got a kind of a weird smell to it. 1316. I want to be able to find a piece of that backing rod and see what it looks like. Hopefully we can find one down there laying on the range. One of my problems with this case is I wasn't getting a complete burn of the powder, and I was finding unburnt powder in the barrel and in the chamber. 1302. I can see the backing rod fly out of there. 1280. Yeah, I see that. And that was everything. And it looks like I'm getting a little bit of the backing rod. Here, I'll see if I can show this on the camera. You can see that. I can't really tell. Looks like that's either lube.
1 minute to ceasefire. 1 minute.
No, that's plastic. So that looks like pieces of the backing rod. Anyway, got a minute to the break, so I'm just going to wait and we'll go down range and see what happens. Well, that is the best grouping I have ever got from this rifle. That is a success. My aim point was here, but with the backing rod in there and the felt wad, I'm really pleased with that. I obviously got 2 flyers, but there's 3 of them in the bullseye. And with the overall length changed and not really sizing the bullet, that is an excellent group. Now there's the backing rod, and there's my felt wad I found laying out there in front of the bench. Tears it up, but I'm not seeing any melting there, but I think there is a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of melting going on there. But that works really well. Awesome. Well, I got 5 more. Now that I know this works, and I'm not getting any pressure signs, the speed is really decent. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I like that. I want to, if Norm Sutton, if you ever get a chance to see this video, I want to thank you for your input. I am definitely going to try this in my 4570, the H4198 works really well. The other neat thing about the Beaumont is it has a magazine cutoff right here. Now I can push that down, close the bolt, and then turn the magazine cutoff on. I have 4 in reserve, and I can put 1 in the chamber, and then turn the magazine cutoff back on. Off, and then you're ready to go. So that's awesome. My previous attempts, I used H4895 at 40 grains. I used IMR 3031 at 38 grains. Then H4895 at 38.5 grains. And it was way too hot. I was running, one was 105 feet per second, and the other one was 22 73 when I decided I should probably stop. Then I went to the IMR 3031 at 38.5 grains. The speed was good at 1325. Then again at IMR 3031 at 38.5. And then again IMR 3031 at 39 grains. And I was running from 1423 to 1369 feet per second. But all of that aside, I wasn't getting groups that it just wasn't grouping. And I was not happy with the spent powder I was seeing in the chamber either. So there wasn't much consistency there. This method appears to be working. I got 5 more. I'm just gonna try some more. My sight's getting fuzzy. $13.55. $13.03. $13.10. Got a weird smell. It's the backing rod, I'm guessing. Kind of stinks. $12.90. $12.69. All right. Again, there's a little bit of plastic and lube up here at the top. It wipes right off. Cases look great. I think you're supposed to use large pistol primer cases in the 32 gauge brass. I'm using the large rifle primers, and they do stick up above the primer pocket just a little bit, but they work. I haven't had any issues with that. I got a bunch of older loads here. I think I'll just shoot them to get rid of them, but I'm not going to put that on camera. My main focus today was to do a test run and see how this method worked. And I really like it. Let's see, we'll go down range and see what the last 5 look like. All right, there's the last 5. Believe it or not, this is actually my point of aim right here. So I'm thinking with the deviations in speed, you'll get some low and some right there. I got a high one. But again, that is the best that I have seen with this Beaumont ever. So I'm really liking that. The speed's about right. Wish I could bring that deviation down a little bit. But again, I can't complain. This is really the best I've ever done with the Beaumont. I'm really happy with that. All right, I'm going to move on. Have a great day. All right, I want to do a quick follow-up. I just got home with the Beaumont, and I got the flashlight, and I'm looking in the chamber, and I am not seeing any powder residue. Looking down the bore, and there's no powder residue at all. So what I want to do now is I want to run a dry patch down here and see what we pick up. With a dry patch. I am not seeing any chunks of anything, just carbon. And that looks pretty good. So that should clean up really well. There is some, I don't know what that is. Anyway, just dirt. So I don't know if it'll show up if I try to put the camera down there, show you the bore. Well, we can try it. Let me rotate this video around and see if it's too bright. All right. See if we can just wanted to get some light down there without it being so bright. But you can see when you get directly in the light, the bore looks really good. It's just dirty. There's no chunks anywhere. Rifling looks really good. You know, there's no pitting in this bore. Nothing that would impede accuracy. So I'm going to say that what I did today with the backing rod and the felt wad, I'm headed in the right direction. I may go back to the 3031 powder and try that again. In my conversations with Norm Sutton, he's using 3031 with the backing rod and the felt wad in a 43 Egyptian, which according to him is pretty much the same cartridge as the Beaumont. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I have no reason to doubt him. And so I may go back to the 3031, which, as you've seen previously in this video, I've used before and wasn't getting a consistent burn. Now with the backing rod and stuff in there, maybe that'll help and maybe that'll work. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.